Hello again, my name is Elham, and for those of you who are new to ECW Press, we are an indie press based in Toronto, Canada, who have spent nearly 50 years publishing one of the largest and most varied and diverse lists in North America. We have an incredibly deep and large backlist that covers everything from literary fiction to mysteries, incredibly compelling nonfiction, really amazing poetry. And our particular niche is music history, particularly rock history books, and more books on professional wrestling than you ever thought were possible. I highly recommend that you browse our website, or you can go through our catalogs in Edelweiss to see just how much we have to offer. Another thing that you can do is follow ECW on Twitter, and every Friday we do something called Something for Everyone Friday, where you can tell us literally anything that you'd like and we will find a book for you. And that's a super fun thing that we do, and I highly recommend you do it. As well as physical books, ECW is really proud to be one of the leading audiobook publishers in Canada. And so all of the books that I'll be going through today are going to be available as in print, as well as accessible e-book and audiobook. Accessibility is something that's incredibly important to us. And that extends into every aspect of our publishing program. If there are any titles today that pique your interest, you can head to our booth, and we have a form that you can fill out to request ARCs for these or any other ECW books that you would like. Or feel free to email me, elham@ecwpress.com. I'm more than happy to hook you up. My role as trade marketing lead means that I am here for you, for librarians, indie booksellers. I want to be your go-to contact here at ECW. So please do reach out anytime you'd like. So now let's jump into the books. I'm going to be talking to you about some of the lead titles that we have coming for fall of 2022, and I've grouped them based on themes so that if there is something that you are particularly interested in, or that your community, your readers are particularly interested in, you'll sort of have a varied selection of books to pick from. The first few titles I'm going to be talking about are memoirs and biographies, the first of which is Same Ground by Russell Wyngerski. I don't have physical copies of these, so I've printed out all of the beautiful covers for you. The subtitle for this is Chasing Family Down the California Gold Rush Trail. This is coming out on September 27th, and it's a tale of parallel journeys separated by more than 200 years. It's both poignant and hilarious, and is told by an absolutely phenomenal writer. Russell is the author of Burning Down the House, The Glass Harmonica, and The Hour of Bad Decisions, among many other books. He's twice nominated for the Scotiabank Giller Prize. He's won the Rogers Nonfiction Book Award. These are some of the biggest book awards in Canada, and has been nominated for so many regional book awards and won so many regional book awards that I could not list them all today. After discovering that the diary of his great-great-grandfather, William Castle Dodge, which was written while Dodge was making his way across the US in search of gold, Russell decides that he wants to recreate that journey, but this time by car instead of mule. And his goal, though, is not gold, it's family. This is a memoir that recounts his journey while interweaving excerpts from his great-great-grandfather's diary directly. It's a story about identity and heritage and connection across time, as well as the search for long-buried roots. In Russell's own words, he is looking for the thing called family that so many other people seem to have found almost effortlessly. It's also a Middle America story. We have this beautiful map that I can hold up for you now. This will be on the inside of the book. So you see that Russell, you can see that he's traveling from Wisconsin across America to California, taking as closely as possible the exact same route that his ancestor took. And so the book contains a lot of his observations about the hollowing out of Middle America. And so for fans of not just travel stories and family sagas, but also social commentary, like memoirs that interweave social commentary through them, this is a really great book for that. Our next memoir is My Road from Damascus by Jamal Saeed. This is an absolutely stunning book. by an author who spent 12 years as a prisoner of conscience in Syria before he was invited to Canada in 2016. Jamal was arrested 3 times, though never charged with anything. And in this book, it's a prison, kind of like a prison memoir, but so much more than that as well. Jamal, I'm so sorry, I'm allowing people in. So Jamal's aim with this book is to sort of take the smaller stories of ordinary people that are caught up within big sweeping historical moments and tell those stories, because they are just as important as the big historical stories, which I think we're seeing now very much with what's happening in Europe and in Ukraine. So throughout the book, Jamal is really interweaving his own life with the story of Syria's history across 50 incredibly tumultuous years. And those stories are really beautifully woven together. So at the beginning, when he is talking about his sort of perfect pastoral childhood in a small village, you also see Jamal's early political education, his beginnings as a young Marxist, which would lead to him being arrested. There is a scene early in the book where he's waiting in prison for his torturers to come, and it's a very frightening moment, but at the same time, all he can think about is his first love. And so together, these stories tell not only his personal experiences, but also the story of this country that he loves so much. And it is dark and difficult at times, but at the same time, it's very funny. It's so poetic, and I cannot overstate how beautifully written this book is. Jamal's first language is Arabic, and this translation really, really expresses the musicality of the language so well. If you are in a community of political readers or have a current events book club, or if you love, I'm so sorry, I need water. If you love stories like No Friend But the Mountains by Behrooz Bashani, this is the book for you. Jamal also took part in the Secret Refuge panel earlier today, so you can go back and watch that as well. He is a wonderful speaker. And our last memoir is The Battle Cry of the Siamese Kitten, but even more tales from the Accidental Veterinarian by Philip Schott. This is coming out on October 11th. It contains 60 new stories about angry pelicans, bug-eyed goldfish, and of course, plenty of cats and dogs for all of you pet parents out there. This is the 3rd essay collection from Philip. I have the first 2 here, The Accidental Veterinarian and How to Examine a Wolverine. These books were both super well received. They're national bestsellers here in Canada. Booklist wrote a starred review for The Accidental Veterinarian and called it perfect for all animal lovers, entertaining and amazing. These are super fun, feel-good books. They contain these really lovely bite-sized stories. It's a perfect pick-me-up for readers today. I think there's so much serious going on. If you're looking for something that's just like really fun and fast to read, these are great books for that. And Philip, he's just an unstoppable writing force. As well as these 3 essay collections, he's also the author of 2 novels. The Willow Wren is a World War II historical fiction about that's inspired by his father's childhood growing up in Nazi Germany. And this book just came out this spring. 54 Pigs is the first in a veterinary mystery series. The second book is already in the works for next spring, and it involves ostriches. So the next 3 books I want to talk about are all science books, still nonfiction. The first one is Quack Quack, The Threat of Pseudoscience by Dr. Joe Schwartz. Dr. Joe is another returning ECW vet. That's pun fully intended. He's a veteran, not a veterinarian. This is his 12th book, and again, he's returning to this ever important subject of debunking medical misinformation and junk science, from smelling salts to ear candling to detoxing and much more. He delivers good evidence-based information in a fun and fast-paced package. Dr. Joe is the director of McGill University's Office for Science and Society, whose whole mission is separating sense from nonsense. And so he's no stranger to making science digestible and accessible for ordinary readers like ourselves. To quote Timothy Caulfield, who you might know as the author of Is Gwyneth Paltrow Wrong About Everything? In a world filled with misinformation and twisted science, Dr. Joe is a must-read. Next, we have Dinner on Mars, the technologies that will feed the red planet and transform agriculture on Earth. This might be my favorite cover of the entire fall season. It's so beautiful, it's so cool. In this book, two food geeks, Lenore Newman and Evan D.G. Fraser, imagine how to feed a colony on Mars, and in doing so, they also discover how food production on planet Earth can and must change. The premise is fairly simple. They wanted to imagine, how would we produce food on a Mars colony, and kind of realize that if we can figure out how to sustain ourselves on Mars, we'll also know how to do it on Earth too. And this can involve anything from impossible burgers to lab-made sushi to dairy made in giant vats of fermented yeast. It is weird and it's wonderful, and it gets pretty gross at times, because when I say giant vats of fermented yeast, it's kind of gross. But it's also not irrelevant, because as we're coming against these issues of climate change and population growth, big questions about food production and sustainability are going to be super important, and that's what they're talking about in this book. It's also super accessible. It's very fun, perfect for food geeks and pop scientists and like the Alton Brown in your life. And the authors are experts in their field. You might know Lenore Newman from her last book, which I can show you. Lost Feast was an NPR Science Friday book club pick. And it's out in paperback now. It was previously in hardcover. And it's a great pairing with Dinner on Mars, I should just say, because in Lost Feast, she's looking backwards at the foods that we've eaten to death, essentially, whereas Dinner on Mars is looking forward into how we're going to produce new foods for ourselves. And our last science book is also about outer space. Why Am I Taller? What Happens to an Astronaut's Body in Space by Dr. Dave Williams and Elizabeth Howell, out November 1st. It's also just a very accessible, very chatty pop science book for fans of Mary Roach that answers just that question: what happens to an astronaut's body in space? And you get to hear about it from the astronauts who have lived it. Dr. Dave Williams is a former astronaut who flew to space twice, and Elizabeth Howell is a very well-respected journalist who focuses on space exploration. Together, they look at not just what happens to the body in zero gravity, but make connections to how knowing these things can inform our knowledge about the body on Earth, particularly for people who have mobility issues, and how we can find solutions for them. So finally, we are moving on to fiction. I have two mysteries for all of you mystery fans and thriller lovers. The first is What's Past is Prologue, a Joanne Kilbourne mystery by Gail Bowen. This is an absolute feat. It is the 21st book in the Joanne Kilbourne series. This is an absolutely beloved series. It's been running for almost, I want to say, just over 30 years now, and fans can't get enough of it. They return to it time and time again. To quote PW, this long-running series shows no sign of losing steam, and neither does Gail. Sorry, Why Am I Taller is coming out on November 1st. I'm sorry if you have any questions, please do let me know. This is coming out September 6th. And it follows Joanne and her extended family as they try and pick up the pieces when a family friend is under attack. Gail is an absolute superstar in Canada. Among her numerous awards are a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Crime Writers of Canada and the Distinguished Canadian Award from the University of Regina. Reader's Digest has also called her Canada's best mystery novelist. You can read this book and then dive into the backlist. She has plenty for you to read. It's a great new series for mystery fans to find. Next one, Fenian Street by Anne Emery, is another returning favorite series. This is the 12th book, I want to say. Yes, the 12th book in the award-winning Collins and Burke series. It's been a fan favorite since 2007, though this can be read as a standalone. Set in 1970s Dublin, the story follows Shay Rinn, a young cop who is not trusted by his peers. Father Burke is helping Shay to revisit the suspicious death of a childhood friend when a politician is killed, and the case takes Shay and Burke from Dublin to Hell's Kitchen in New York to Montreal to try and solve the mystery. Again, Anne has won numerous awards for her writing. She won the Arthur Ellis Award for Best Novel and Best First Novel. She's won the Dartmouth Book Award for Fiction and an Independent Publishers Book Award for Silver Medal. The Ottawa Review of Books called her one of Canada's finest novelists, and it's another, great pick if you're looking for a new mystery series to dive into. You read the first one, you fall in love with it, and then you can dive into her backlist. And the last title I wanted to talk about today is a historical fiction, As Little as Nothing by Pamela Malloy. This is set against the eve of World War II, when a plane crash outside of a small English village brings together the lives of 4 people. Miriam is recovering from another miscarriage and decides that she wants to learn to fly as an escape from the disappointments of her life. Audrey is a middle-aged reproductive rights activist who has shunned her society, while her nephew Frank, who is teaching Miriam how to fly, is battling his own sense of alienation and his growing attraction to the crashed pilot, Peter. Through the interplay of voices and the voices of these 4 characters, As Little as Nothing explores early feminism and reproductive rights movements, the resilience of women, the strength of new bonds, and the various ways that we reinvent ourselves throughout our lives. More and more, I've noticed that there is you see more historical fiction by women that focuses on women's issues and achievements throughout history, but not necessarily in a way where it's like reframing history. It's more pulling the curtain back on these moments that already existed. So what Pamela found was this sort of older reproductive rights movements that women have always been doing this work to fight for their rights. And so she wanted to explore that in this novel. Pamela is an author. Her debut novel, The Deserters, was shortlisted for the Relit Award. This is her first work of historical fiction, though. She's also an editor at the New Quarterly magazine, a literary journal, and the director of the Wild Writers Literary Festival in Waterloo. We're really, really excited to be able to publish this book by her and have her sort of join that milieu of feminist historical fiction. So those are all of the books that I had to present today. I really hope that you found something that's perfect for you and your community. Again, you can head to our booth and request ARCs if you'd like to see any of these. You can also drop me an email any day, anytime, if there's something that you're looking for. And I also highly recommend you go into our Edelweiss and check out our catalog. We've got lots and lots coming out. This is our fall 2022 catalog, and it's absolutely beautiful. We have so many more books in there for you to check out. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.